morning, everyone, and welcome to today's 1 Million Cups. My name is Sadie Sweer, and I am the Community Outreach Coordinator at Downtown Sioux Falls. And we are here for 1 Million Cups because this is a Kauffman Foundation organization, an event that is hosted every single Wednesday at 9 a.m. here in Sioux Falls. And it's really under the notion that entrepreneurs can come together over 1 million cups of coffee. And so this is a free program designed to educate, engage, and inspire entrepreneurs around the country. And Sioux Falls is no different. It's been here for a long time, and it's grown to over 160 communities. And so we are gonna kick off our morning with what we do every single week, which is if you are new to 1 Million Cups, if this is your first one, or if you'd like to reintroduce yourself, please do so at this time. If you're on the Zoom call, unmute yourself, take your video on, and introduce yourself again. Anybody new? Or would like to reintroduce themselves? Looks like we got about 20 on the Zoom call this morning, which is awesome. And if you're tuning in via Facebook or YouTube, you can comment as well and introduce yourself, and we can see them and do it on live too. Nobody? Everybody settle down. Jeez. Okay, well, we'll keep it going. Next up on our agenda for the morning, we always like to talk about any events going on either this weekend or in the next couple weeks that is important to our Sioux Falls and entrepreneurship community. And there's always something happening at the Zeal Center.
Hey, Sadie. We have a couple things coming up here in April and May. Actually, May. The first event is called Startup Pitch Night, and we'll be having 6 participants from our Co-Starters Accelerator program will be pitching for the opportunity to win some prize money to put towards their venture. That event is on May 6th at 8 p.m. This will be virtual. If anybody attended the nonprofit pitch night we did on Giving Tuesday, it'll be a similar format where the audience will have the opportunity to vote for their favorite. So audience choice wins the competition. And then the next event is Hey Sioux Falls on May 20th, the Entrepreneur Award Show for Sioux Falls. And the big thing right now is we want you to get your nominations in. So if you have a nomination for an entrepreneur, small business, startup, please send those nominations. I'll put the link in the chat. And those nominations are due on April 16th is the last day.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah. And that nonprofit pitch night, I mean, like you said, is similar to this next pitch night, and it went over awesome. I heard great things about it. And Hey Sioux Falls, what a great time to come together and celebrate some of the amazing entrepreneurs and small businesses and supporter of those. I mean, this is a great time to do it.
Hey, Sadie, Maureen here. I actually just want to re-emphasize what Sarah said because I think both are really, really super relevant to this group. So I'm actually going to share who will be pitching at the Startup Pitch Night because that might add a little extra motivation to the people listening to put it on their calendars for May 6th. So Ben Whitley with Booth or Table, Corey Poore with Little Tykes University, Megan Raposa with Sioux Falls Simplified, Dakota Jordan with Dakota Yoga, Sanaa Abaresk with Sanaa's Gourmet, and Walter Ports and Chris Hintz with Helen's Plan. And there will be a $1,000 first prize, a $500 prize, and a $250 third prize. And again, the audience votes. So show up for these people that you know and care about, listen to their pitches, and be one of the judges, essentially. The audience votes. And then again, I also want to reemphasize what Sarah said with Hey Sioux Falls. Hey Sioux Falls is an awards event focused on entrepreneurs in the Sioux Falls area, giving them recognition that is so well deserved. We know most entrepreneurs work nonstop, day and night, and there aren't really other specialized award ceremonies for them. This is it. So nominate someone, make them feel as special as they are. This is the time. Check out Hey Sioux Falls and send in a nomination. And that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Maureen, you gave me some goosebumps talking about Hey Sioux Falls. Seriously. Anything else going on for events? Feel free to give a shout out for those. And again, if you're tuning in via YouTube or Facebook, drop your event in the comments too. Okay. Well, I mean, there's always something going on in downtown Sioux Falls. So we are wrapping up Downtown Restaurant Week, which is a promotion just celebrating the culinary talents in our downtown area. And so there's 7 participating restaurants that have a featured menu, an appetizer, entree, and dessert, all for $40 at some really great spots. You know, this is your opportunity to try some new places like Chef Lance's, Dada Gastropub, or go check out what some classic places are doing, like Minerva's or Ode to Food and Drink. You know, Restaurant Week, find the menu at dtsf.com. And there's some other fun events like Storyland, which is a temporary exhibit, and it's an interactive exhibit over at the Washington Pavilion with some classic stories. You have a little bit of that nostalgia factor with, oh gosh, what are some of the books that are there? Peter Rabbit is there, but also it's going to be great for the kids. So something like that. And one event I'm actually pretty excited about, you might see me here at the Old Courthouse Museum. They are having a murder mystery event at the museum. The murder's not real, it's all fake, it's a story, but you can go there and tickets are $10 and there's a ton of different slots on Friday and Saturday and you get to be a detective. So solve the murder at the museum, Old Courthouse Museum this weekend. Visit dtsf.com. And again, if you have events, feel free to comment with them in the comments, wherever you're at, Zoom, Facebook, or YouTube. And we will get on to the main event. And so cue the tropical music, Pinnacle Productions. We talked about this earlier, we got it on. So on this rainy day, what a great time to talk about a tropical place right here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. We are going to be honored with hearing the story of one of the newest spots in our downtown area, tagged as a classic local bar with an affinity for tropical cocktails, the Hello High Bar. And today with us, we have the co-owner, Brandon DeYoung. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Thank you so
Sadie.
much
Yeah.
for having us on. Well, we can start off right with your story. We want to hear all about the Hello High, who's involved in it, what brought you here, and especially on this rainy day, talk about something a little fun and tropical.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, you already gave my elevator speech, right? So that's how we tag ourselves. Is we're just a classic bar, but we definitely lean into the tropical moods. We specialize in tiki cocktails, summery cocktails, etc. So today I wanted to introduce ourselves and my partners and share a little bit to how we got to where we are in downtown Sioux Falls. So we'll start here. First I'll introduce myself. I'm Brandon DeYoung. I'm from Sioux Falls, originally born and raised. I actually work full-time out of state for a company out of Atlanta. We do electronics trade-in programs for companies like Apple and Costco, et cetera. But that's for a different 1 million cups, I think, maybe. But we've got, I'm the one on the right there. On the left, we've got Sarah Benson. So she's a managing partner, also from Sioux Falls here, along with Pat Nelson, who's also a managing partner. So those two really are the stars of the show. They're the ones that are, there full time, and they're the ones that each individually have over a decade of experience, operating bars throughout Sioux Falls too. So the three of us have known of each other for a long time, just through like the music scene in Sioux Falls and through the downtown community. But I don't think any one of us would have ever guessed that we would end up coming together to open up a tropical bar slinging tiki drinks in downtown Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So I think, probably the main story here is what were we thinking, right? Like, how did we get here? So it started in May of 2018. I was on a vacation with Erin, my girlfriend, in San Diego. After dinner, we stumbled across a speakeasy tiki bar called Falls Idol. This is a Martin Kate bar, who's like the godfather of the tiki resurgent, really well renowned, and just had the absolute best time. It was, you know, just walking in, a very tuned in vibe, full of wonder. It was just an absolute experience. So the tone, you know, you felt like you were walking into another world. The escapism, the drinks were on point. I really discovered how much I love a good rum cocktail. And from that point on, I came back to Sioux Falls, and I was determined. It seemed inevitable. I was going to open a tiki bar in Sioux Falls. I never had any ambitions to open a bar. I'd never really even worked in the service industry, but it still just felt like something that was bound to happen and just needed to, you know, figure it out. So started telling people that I was opening a bar, and you know, part of it was I just wanted a place like that to hang out in Sioux Falls myself, and part of it was, you know, working out of state mostly. I really wanted to be part of the local community more, and I thought this was a good opportunity to do that too. So as I was telling everybody, you know, my plans to open this tiki-ish, tiki-style bar in Sioux Falls, a couple people said, you need to talk with Sarah Benson. So Sarah and I connected and talked about the concept and what we were thinking, and it was an instant connection. So she's very into like the mid-century aesthetic. Tiki is like right up her alley. She's amazing with cocktails, very creative, and a great leader. So we immediately got to work. So that was in early 2019. Some of the work was the fun stuff, right? So we were like hunting down these treasures and finding all these cool pieces, working on the design and the brand and all of that. And then some of it was less fun too. So trying to find a liquor license was extremely difficult. The loan and the lease, you know, all that stuff too. So those were the three big hurdles that we saw, like, all right, if we can get a liquor license, we can get a lease, we can get a loan, like those are the major hurdles for us to make this happen. Those pieces started to come together, and then we decided, you know what, we probably could benefit from having a third partner, and both Sarah and I immediately thought of Pat. So Pat just has a great reputation. He's been behind the bar downtown for a long time. He's played in bands in town, and just to know Pat is to like love him. Just a really likable guy. So we approached Pat with the idea, and he sat on it for a little while, gave him some time to marinate in that, and then he decided he was in too. Yeah, so that's how the three of us came together as we started to talk more about the concept, you know, around the community with just, you know, friends and family, or, you know, people that we needed to talk to regarding the business plan. There was definitely some reluctance and some confusion, some skepticism. A lot of people thought that might work in bigger cities, but Sioux Falls isn't ready. You know, Sioux Falls isn't ready, and we disagreed. We thought Sioux Falls was ready, and I think Pat and Sarah, especially working so closely with the community for so many years, you know, running bars and working at bars, they had a pretty good idea of how this would be received. So, kind of cue to, you know, fast forward to today, and this is the end result. I've just got a kind of a snapshot here on the slideshow showing some pictures of what the Hello High looks like today. But I did want to focus more on, I think, our identity and our vision for this place, because we really obsessed over those details on who we were and who we weren't, and what this was gonna look like. So it kind of started with an idea that the product, you know, although we love our drinks and we're very proud of our drinks, the product isn't just the drinks. The product is the entire experience, right? And that's why we decided, you know, to be bold in who we were, not water anything down, don't cut corners, and to like obsess over the details of every element of the bar. So we wanted to set a distinct mood. We wanted this to be a fun, a lighthearted place to enjoy a really legit cocktail in a casual atmosphere. And you know, we take our drinks and our crafts seriously, but otherwise we don't take ourselves too seriously. Like a little bit tongue-in-cheek, be able to kind of have some fun with it, and not try to be all buttoned up all the time necessarily. We wanted to, you know, provide a place that provided some escapism, right? So when you walk in the doors, you feel like maybe you're not downtown Sioux Falls anymore, but you're in some nondescript, faraway land, right? So the escapism, I think, is a very interesting time for that, especially, going through 2020 and, the political climate and the pandemic and all of that. Tiki in its original form was primarily an escapism from like the atomic age, right? A way to provide some respite there too. So that's what we wanted. And it can be, a place to get away from the humdrum of life, or from work, or from stress, or our, Arctic tundra winters, or, political climates, whatever it might be. We wanted to kind of provide a place where people could step in and just forget about whatever's outside the doors there. And then really kind of the last piece of our identity and what we wanted to try to be is, again, be bold in who we are, don't water anything down, and don't try to be everything for everybody. I think we realize like this isn't for everybody, but we think in general it's going to get a pretty good response from the community. And it's gotten a great response, and we've been very happy with how everything's been going. And I think we've learned that you don't necessarily, a business model doesn't need to fill a need if you can create a demand. And that's really what we set out to do. And so far, I think it's working. Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. Thank you so much, Brandon. And it looks like we already have some questions in our Zoom call. And if you do have questions and you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, just comment those. And we have people watching. We'll get them asked live to Brandon here. So, Sarah, would you mind reading your question live on Zoom?
Yeah, no problem. Brandon, so my husband and I were having a drink at the Hello High last weekend. And the film screens on either side, every time we've been there, we're like, this is interesting, but what is this about? So just curious if you could talk more about that, if it's about the vibe and the branding and what you're showing.
It's not designed necessarily for people to grab some popcorn and to sit and watch, right? But it's just kind of a background aesthetic. And the films are all from public domain, right? Because licensing and all of that. So we found old, just like sci-fi movies, bizarre movies, horror movies, just old kind of beachy movies, whatever we could find that seemed to fit the general aesthetic. So, and with general aesthetic, like that's a big part is we don't call ourselves a tiki bar. I think any tiki purist would walk in and say, this isn't a tiki bar, because it's very different aesthetically than a typical tiki bar. But we wanted to just be kind of our own version and riffing on tiki and loosely revolving around themes like nautical, island, paradise, jungle. There's a pretty broad range of things that all just are complementary and I think kind of work together, but are just jumbled in there. So the movie's part of that aesthetic for sure, too, the film background. Mm-hmm.
So can you speak to why creating an identity and why creating an aesthetic where you want people to come have more than a cocktail, you want them to have an experience? Can you tell us why that is so important?
Yeah, I think I like the element. We like the element of surprise a lot, right? So you might, each time you come in, you might notice something a little bit different, or even the first time. I think there's a couple distinct reveals, and that creates. I think that creates memories, right? And something to talk about. I think as design-wise, the atmosphere, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot to keep your attention and to discuss, over a cocktail. But it's really just. I think creating a pretty specific vibe or mood, and that's like the scent, it's the temperature, the lighting, all of the little vintage treasures we have around, and of course the drinks and the mugs and all of that.
And all of that's important because that's what people remember. And it's not just the cocktail.
It is, yeah. And it's like it's not what it's what people remember, but it's also it enhances the enjoyment, right? Of in the moment even too.
They remember how they feel.
Right.
And it's so funny because as you're talking about that, that's exactly what I experienced when I went to the Hello High for the first time. And I'm not giving away anything. If you haven't been there, we got to go all together. I don't know, maybe. But even walking in from the first room to the second room, even to the bathroom, right? I mean, it's an experience that whole entire time. And that's so cool. And it sets yourself apart from the other places in downtown, the other places in our city, to the other places in our region.
Right.
And that's really cool. Okay, we got a lot of questions. Heather asked, do you have any future plans to increase outdoor space?
Oh, what a great leading question. Thank you, Heather. Yeah, we'll have a patio on Phillips Avenue coming soon. We're kind of working on the details of that. We do have space in the back as well. I don't think, this year we'll be doing anything in terms of like table service back there, but it's definitely a place where people can hang out. Eventually we'll build that out to be a bigger presence in the back, but we'll start with the Phillips Avenue patio this year.
Very good. Mm-hmm. And Maureen, do you want to ask your question?
Sure. I just thought it'd be nice to hear from you about how your partnership with Bread and Circus emerged for Pizza Cheeks in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So we thought, our guests might like some food to wash down their drinks with a little bit. So when we were putting together the plan, it was, we weren't excited about food. We didn't want to offer food. We didn't want to be distracted by food, but we wanted to have a food option for our customers, right? So we thought, let's build a kitchen in the back with a window where it's a separate business, kind of like an indoor food truck, right? And we can, find somebody else to operate the food and to run the food. So talk to, a couple good groups and kind of notable chefs around town. And, obviously our top pick was the Bread and Circus guys. They've got a fantastic reputation. I think we're extremely well aligned in terms of like business vision and how we see ourselves and our role in the community. So connected with them, and we knew that they were looking to open a pizza shop and get into pizza. So it made a lot of sense. Like what we wanted to create was really a win-win model where we could stay focused on what we're good at, which is the drinks, and they could focus on what they're good at, which is, slinging pizzas. And it worked out really well because they operate the kitchen. They create some absolutely amazing pizza, a little too tasty if you're there often. You definitely start feeling the effects of that. So it's hard to walk by that window without grabbing a slice. But it's great for them because they just need to focus on making pizzas and they don't have to worry about front of the house stuff. And we kind of got that. So it's really a great partnership, and we're very excited about it and very, very eager to promote Pizza Cheeks wherever possible because we absolutely love it. Yeah.
So would you have any advice if there's anybody approaching a situation where they're looking at partnering with some other local businesses? I mean, it sounds like you talked about aligning missions or having like a great connection. I mean, would you have any other advice?
Not necessarily. I think like what we were both excited about was, again, like the win-win model. There was some pretty distinct benefits for both of us in this. And I think we naturally, attract a similar demographic. Especially like a late night pizza shop and a bar makes a lot of sense, right? But I think like, I don't know if I have any specific advice really on there. Just a lot of alignment in terms of like kind of our vision and the kind of companies we want to be.
Yeah. So you said demographics. Do you have any target audiences at all? And if you do, how did you get to that point?
We don't necessarily. It's pretty broad. I'm thinking back to our original business model. I think it was 21 to 50 is probably the core or so demographic. But no, I think it's something for all ages for sure. Mostly what I was referring to is bar goers, people that are at a bar late at night.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you see everyone in there from younger people to people getting off and coming to happy hour, which is amazing, which is really cool.
Yeah, the pizza's been great, especially, we open at 4 every day and we're open till 2 a.m. So around the dinner hours, especially, it's a really nice option for people to pop in, grab some pizza and to have a cocktail.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a question from Facebook from Brian, and she asked, do you ever watch Bar Rescue? And if so, does it haunt your dreams? Serious questions. Do you have a strategic plan to invest in maintenance and upgrades as they suggest in the industry every 5 to 7 years? And what advice do you have for bar owners that are perhaps stuck in a rut, and if you will? So the questions, does it haunt your dreams? And then do you have a strategic plan to invest in upgrades?
Yeah, I don't watch Bar Rescue. I think I've seen a couple episodes. I did read Raising the Bar, the book, though. Didn't love it. It's like any other business book. It could have been a fifth of the size. He really stretched out, and he really thinks highly of himself. But there's a couple good nuggets in there. And yes, absolutely. And I think a big part of what we want to do is keep what we do fresh, right? Not grow stale. So I think there's, that's through kind of like some seasonality, spotlight cocktails. We're going to be, I think, big into pop-ups, like where we have kind of just themed takeovers of the bar and do that. And yeah, and we'll kind of, mix it up every couple of years for sure. So, yes, maintenance in general, is a much bigger thing than we originally anticipated with, the volume of people that come through there. There's a lot of wear and tear. So I think we underestimated how much maintenance would be necessary on an ongoing basis. So because we're seeing that early on, though, I think that does help in terms of earmarking like what that's going to look like on an ongoing basis. And then we do earmark, we do have a plan for funds for just expansion and keeping the environment fresh too, whether that's the back patio area or just in general upgrades with the design and furniture, et cetera. Mm-hmm.
And do you have a date for any of those pop-up spaces?
Not
this
so
summer?
much.
This summer?
Yeah, we'll be doing some stuff this summer for sure.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Expect that. Hello High pop-up in some of the different bars.
No.
Oh,
like bar
no.
takeovers? No, I
Bar
love that
takeovers.
idea too, though.
Oh, okay.
That is something that, if we can make that happen, that's great. I love the community element of bars working together to do that too.
Okay.
No, more so just like themed pop-ups in our bar, right? So just going
got it.
just going all in on a specific
Okay.
theme and having a menu to accommodate that. Yep.
Got it. No, my mind just went like, okay, where are they going to be at?
Yeah, no, I do want to get there someday too. We've talked about that for sure. Mm-hmm.
And there's another part to Brienne's question from Facebook, and she asks, do you have any advice for the bar owners who are perhaps stuck in a rut?
I mean, we're new at this, so I'm not going to give advice to any long-term bar owners. But I think what I feel very convicted about, and I think what we feel is working well, is you don't have to be like safe or water anything down for Sioux Falls. Be bold. If there's a specific thing you're going for, like don't cut corners and go all in. And I'm not saying that's always going to work for everybody, but in our case, I'm happy that we did that, because I think there's a lot of scenarios where it could be like, well, do we really need this, or this is good enough, or whatever. But I think people pay attention to the details, and even if they don't distinctly notice them, it makes a difference in terms of the whole package and the whole ambiance, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, and we have Amy Wentworth. And she says, everyone sees the amazing end product, but having some insight into the road to get to this point and some setbacks along the way. Cheers to you three for all the hard work and dedication. Sioux Falls needed you. Oh, Amy, that's so nice. Oh, look, there you go.
Thank you.
So do you want to talk about any of the setbacks or anything? Because I know one right off the top of maybe two right off the top of my head.
Guess them.
And
yeah.
I'm going to say this whole global pandemic, first of all, and then the pipe breaking.
Yeah, yep.
Those are the two I think of. So do you want to talk about that and the resilience it took to get through those? Yeah,
so we signed our lease in February 2020, got occupancy in March 2020, and that's when the pandemic got real. So there were definitely some moments where we thought, all right, how do we respond to this? Do we speed things up? Do we slow things down? Do we pump the brakes for a bit? And our hope was, we knew it was going to take some time to pull everything together. Our hope was that, hey, by the time we're ready to open, maybe we'll be on the tail end of this, and everybody's going to be ready to come back out. And that wasn't quite the case. it did take us basically a full gestation period to bring this baby to life. Partly because in August, a pipe broke on the second floor of the building and flooded us. And initially, it didn't seem that bad. And we thought, oh, this will set us back a couple weeks. But just the effects of the moisture, I think, over time has set us back much further. And we ended up having to tear out the whole bar top and redo the bar top. And now we're dealing with floor issues behind the bar of warping of the floor. So that's something that we're going to have to address in the next week or two here. So, yeah, those were, it was disheartening, but it was, it was fine in terms of, it all came together and worked out fine. I wish we would have been able to open a little bit earlier and gotten patio season in there. But it's honestly probably best that we didn't. I think we would have just been overwhelmed, right, if we had opened right at patio season when more people were coming out, et cetera. So the pandemic probably worked out pretty well in terms of us being able to crawl, walk, run a little bit, instead of just getting slammed right off of the bat. Weekends still, right off the bat got pretty crazy and pretty busy, but I can't imagine what it would have been like if it was, the height of summer and patio season and all of that too. So with the pandemic stuff, it was frustrating because it seemed like it was always changing in terms of how long is this going to last, and where's this going? Are bars going to be able to stay open? Are they going to shut down altogether? There was a lot of uncertainty, and that definitely added to the stress. But we really didn't change our course at all in terms of the build out and progressing with the plan. I think we just kind of braced ourselves, right? That, hey, it might be rough for the first year or so. We did, with opening, have some COVID precautions and consider that. So we've got a bunch of tables in the basement. We reduced our capacity, spread everything out. We've got, masks at the front that we supply to customers. All of our staff wears masks, and we, ask guests to wear masks when they're not at their table. And then one thing that we did respond to is, aggressively looked for a package liquor license. So ended up being able to hustle and find a package liquor license so that we could offer to-go drinks. So we saw a lot of the bars I follow and stuff I saw were doing to-go drinks in bigger communities and bigger cities. And I know that's not legal for everybody here unless you have this package liquor license. So now we're able to make fresh cocktails, bottle them up, seal them. So that anybody who doesn't feel comfortable coming in can kind of enjoy our cocktails at home. And it's just something to help offset some of the impacts of COVID here for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you talked a little bit about looking to bigger cities or bigger communities. Do you find that a lot of entrepreneurs in Sioux Falls or small business owners or people here feel like they need to look at bigger cities or bigger communities to bring ideas here? Because I feel like there's a little bit of a tag between well, this is brand new, let's do it here, or nobody else is doing it, why would we do it here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think people need to look to bigger cities for any copycat models or anything like that, but inspiration for sure, and then figuring out what that means to bring back to our community. For me, I ended up, I travel a lot for work, so I ended up being able to do research, right? So went to 25 tiki bars all around the world, and really renowned ones too, ones that have very good
Sounds
reputations.
Tough.
Yeah,
Sounds
exactly.
Tough. Jeez.
So, and from there, it was just kind of studying, our bar is very, very different than any of the bars I've went to, but it was kind of studying what did I like about these? And it's not meant to copycat anything specific, but basically, again, what feelings do I like from it, or experiential things did I like from these different bars that I visited? So yeah, I think it's always great to expand your world a little bit and expand outside of your box and to see what inspiration comes from that.
Yeah. And just with what Sioux Falls and downtown, this position that we're in, we can really make it our own. And I think that's what's so special about this city is that if you want to do something, you can go out and do it and change it. And I think the Levitt is proof of that. I think our amazing retail community is part of that, our restaurant and bar community. So we're at an exciting point that if you want to do something, you can do it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Sioux Falls is a very, very business-friendly community. I think in general, it's a community that likes to support locally. And even just other business owners were extremely helpful throughout the way. We met with different breweries, different bar owners, and everybody was just super helpful in terms of, telling us what they've learned and what works well for them and just giving us little tips here and there about, where to source different things, et cetera.
Oh, that hits me right here. Yeah. Looks like we have a couple more questions from Dan Pickering on Facebook. Date night with my wife is not complete without drinks from the Hello High. P.S. Thanks for having Coors Banquet. The Cobra Kai series has rekindled an old love for me. Coors Banquet.
Great.
I don't know if I know what that is. Is that a beer?
This might be too classy for you. Maybe.
Oh, now I'm gonna have to come try it.
Yeah.
Now I gotta go try it.
It's a beer. Yeah.
Oh, very good. Thanks, Dan. And Heather, you have another question. Do you want to say it live?
I'm just wondering how you came up with the name. It's unique. It's unusual. What is the meaning behind it?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. The Hello High. It's two of the most basic English words, but you put them together and it sounds kind of exotic, right? And so that I think what I liked about it. And then Sarah really clinged onto it too, because she, for her, it's more of like that Midwestern, like double greeting, like, hey, how's it going? Hey, hi, that kind of thing. So she, so it's a combination of both, right? It's two super basic English words, put it together and it gives it a little bit of a different meaning. And it definitely has some like Midwestern connotations there too.
What was the naming process like? Was it pretty easy?
I just brainstorm, come up with a couple different options, and weed them out, cross them off as we go. We're down to like a couple contenders. And then the hardest part was deciding if we have the on there or not, so yeah.
Can you share any of the ones that you crossed off? If not, that's okay.
I can.
Oh.
Yeah. Trying to think here. Low Tide was one. The Low Tide was one we were riffing on for quite a while. Like Tall Bird. Yeah.
The Hello High.
Hello High
Yeah,
was the winner for sure. Yeah.
Okay. If you have more questions, just comment with them. We have a couple more minutes to be taking questions. I have one. So you mentioned it earlier, and we don't have to get into it. That's another 1 million cups, but you have another business that you started. And so can you speak to maybe your entrepreneurial spirit or your journey? Like, did you know that you always wanted to be an entrepreneur, or was there something, the 9 to 5, just you knew that you didn't want to be part of it? Like, can you speak to that?
Yeah, not to disappoint, but I didn't start the other company.
Oh, okay.
I'm an employee. Yeah.
Okay.
So the other company I work for is Phobio out of Atlanta. And I've been in the wireless industry in different capacities for about 15 years. So it's a company I met through different conventions and et cetera. So I've been with this company for about 7 years. And I head up accounts for them. So primarily work with Apple for running their trade-in program, which is like trading in phones and laptops and iPads, et cetera. So definitely not as fun to talk about compared to the Hello High, but yeah, happy to talk about that at some other point. Maybe.
Yeah. But did you know that you always wanted to do something like that? And you have to have an entrepreneurial spirit, like you have to be very driven for that.
Yeah, and I think the company I work for really encourages the entrepreneurial spirit for sure, and gives a lot of autonomy to everybody to kind of run their own book of business. And again, I've always wanted to start something completely, where I had some ownership in it, and definitely be part of the local community.
Cool.
So,
and
I think Pat and Sarah too. Again, we're all equal partners, and they both have always wanted to start bars too. So
Cool.
worked out pretty well.
Yeah, pretty dang well. And it looks like we have another question from Angela on Facebook. What is your favorite tiki drink, Brandon?
Oh, great question. I think you know the answer to that already, probably, Angela. But I love the Mai Tai. I can't get enough Mai Tais. So Mai Tai is a couple different kinds of rum, Rajah, lime. It's just very, very delicious. So mint on the top. I'm a sucker for mint. So.
And what is the process of creating drinks or being the creative part of that?
The process is for Pat and Sarah to keep me
Yes.
out of that. I don't make drinks. I'm not a bartender, and I just try to stay out. They're so good at what they do. I try to stay out of their way wherever possible. New drink creation it's really a team effort that Sarah leads. She's got a lot of experience with creating drinks and created most of our signature drinks. But it's a team effort too. So different bartenders will contribute different ideas and different drinks. Same with Pat as a partner too. So so I'll have to defer to them to answer that question at some point. But I know. So currently we're working on an expanded menu. The menu that we have right now is a little bit more limited menu for launch, just to make sure that we can, get our feet under us before we have a sizable menu. But so we're working on expanding that now, which will have about double the selection, which I think people will be excited for. Yeah. And then the menu's broken up into several different sections, and there's really is something for everyone in terms of drinks, right? So the cocktail portion, we've got Tiki Classics, which is really like following the authentic recipes for the tiki drinks from the 40s and the 50s, right? And then we've got Yacht Tales, which is our own kind of code word for summery drinks, boat drinks, right? So things that would be like a poolside sipper there. And then we have signature drinks, which is a variety of different spirits and just kind of unique creations from the Hello High and from Sarah and the team. And then we've got 10 beers on tap, 25, 30 bottled beers, a decent wine list. And then an NA menu too. So it doesn't have to, this can be a place that people can come and enjoy a slice of pizza and grab a drink that's not alcoholic too, if that's not your thing. So I think we currently have 3 or 4 NA drinks, and we'll be expanding that as well.
Yeah. I'd love to talk about the NA drinks. And it looks like we have one more question from Paul Ryan on Facebook, and then we're going to have to start to wrap up. But I'm sure that you're available if people want to reach out and have some more questions for you too. But Paul Ryan on Facebook asked, you mentioned one of the hurdles was acquiring a liquor license. What was the process like?
Yeah, how much time do we have?
Oh gosh, this wasn't good. The last question to ask was a good one.
So the liquor license is extremely prohibitive. It's a major barrier to opening a bar for sure. So the problem I think is if you go through the city and you get on the list, you have to wait several years, and then if you get awarded the liquor license, you can only get it if you have a property to assign it to, a lease. And so you don't want to, it creates a chicken or egg scenario. I think for us, it did at least. It definitely favors the wealthy people that own several buildings and properties. That's we can just assign it to this one over here and hold it over here. Because we couldn't risk signing a lease without a liquor license, and we couldn't buy a liquor license without a lease. So that kind of forced us to have to buy secondhand and on the secondary market. And so with that, the liquor license is not cheap to begin with, but you definitely pay exorbitant amounts, right? Buying it secondhand, it's a supply and demand thing. So, started finding the list of who owned liquor licensing and cold calling, and figured out who knew what, and ended up connecting with a realtor in town that's handled a lot of transactions of liquor licenses and knew where to get one. So. What works out, the reason why we had to buy it on the second hand is because we had to work out an agreement where it's we will buy it from you, but you hold it until we have a lease. that we can assign it to. So once we had a lease, then they officially assigned it to us through the city. So I know it's something the city's looking to reform, and I think they have a moratorium on the list now. But it's definitely a detractor and keeps a lot of people from. I mean, it holds a lot of like a good portion of our loan is that liquor license. And what's kind of disappointing about the cost associated with it is you can't go small. You have to go big in order to pay for the liquor license and to warrant the cost of the liquor license. I would love the idea of just running a real small bar in town or something, but if you have to have a liquor license specifically for that, it's just the business model won't work. So hopefully that answered your question, but it basically, yeah, we were kind of forced to have to buy on the secondary market, and it took a lot of calling around and hustling to get.
Yep. You're not the only person who I've talked to who has talked about the Sioux Falls liquor license like that. But we'll keep moving on. So last question we always ask, what can the 1 Million Cups community do for you and the Hello High?
Just stop by and say hello, I guess. Yeah.
Hello High?
Yeah, sure.
Oh.
Right. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on with us this morning.
Thank you, Sadie.
And we'll give a shout out to our sponsors, or are we going to our next speakers? Our sponsors, shout out to First National Bank, Market Beat, Zeal Center for Entrepreneurship, and of course, the Sparkle Razzle Dazzle here at Pinnacle Productions. And coming up, the upcoming Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m., we have Corey Poor with Little Tykes University. So that's next Wednesday, 9 a.m. Andrea Van Essen, who is a writer, a freelancer, and then another brewery. We just had Severance last week, who was the winner of Mash Madness, and we're going to have Remedy Brewing Company wrapping up April. So thank you all so much for coming on. Again, this is Sioux Falls 1 Million Cups. We'll be here next Wednesday at 9 a.m. and have a great rest of your day. See you at the Hello High.